I don't think I can survive the next one. Defender? Oh! I've already had to bubble. I've got to kill him now. This is it. Do or die time. Get out of there, freedom. Come on, baby. Just die! Stun. Die! Yes! Yes! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh! I can't fucking believe it! I'm at 3%. She is melting! Queen Ashara is melting! Right before our eyes! 1% and all alive! Method has taken! We got it first, Queen Ashara!
We got it!
Method
first, Queen Ashara!
has proved why they are the king of kings
We did it!
at this game!
Fucking hit that execute knobs, come on.
Mate.
Execute him.
Execute! Come on!
The steer's fucking over!
Oh! Fuck you!
Oh, God.
Fuck you!
What's that achievement that we just got? Fuck.
Ho, ho, ho! I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas. Mine was different. Actually, it wasn't too bad. I spent a couple of days in Finland. It was awesome. Got to go sleigh dog riding and snowmobiling and all those wonderful things that I'm going to share with you the next day or so. I'm about to show you a really sad video. It's really sad. I didn't want it to be sad. In fact, when the idea of this video came up, it wasn't sad at all. I was excited. That's the kind of video I want to make, but this did make me sad for two reasons. Firstly, I forgot how fun World of Warcraft was for me during patch 7.2. Now, it might not have been that way for you, which is important. Also, it makes me sad because I think people are going to use this video just to go BFA bad, Legion good. And leave it there. That will be the full stop. BFA bad, Legion good. Look, we can agree most of us believe that. Some people don't. That's the end of that situation. What I'm interested in is your story, because New Year is coming. A new year is a time where we reflect. We look back at other new years. We look back at what we did in 2017, 2018, 2019. We start making plans for 2020, which is what I've been doing. And as we're geeks, our calendar doesn't always work the same way. I think of my weekly reset, not on a Sunday into the Monday, but on a Wednesday when the WoW servers reset and we all get to get going again. We can look at WoW expansions just like these years, right? We can look back because they're all pretty similar in terms of when Blizzard releases stuff. The 0.2 patches are typically when we get Pathfinder completed. They usually come with a new zone. They usually come with a new dungeon. Side by side, they all marry up pretty similarly in terms of what Blizzard is releasing. However, and this is the point of this video, depending on how that expansion's gone, the 0.2 stuff is really, really different. And I want you to use your memory properly because I'm going to be talking about things like the Mage Tower. I'm going to be talking about things like that. Now remember, when the Mage Tower was released, it wasn't overwhelmingly popular. In fact, considered way too hard for most people and an elitist piece of content. It wasn't until 7.3, when Antorus catch-up gear came in, that people started to get their Mage Towers done. I'm interested. What were you doing at the same time last expansion? Let's be clear about the message here. What were you doing at the same time last expansion? So where are we right now? We're in patch 8.2. We're looking forward to patch 8.3. The Neolotha raid is coming. We've got all these modified invasions. We've got horrific visions entering the game. What were we doing at 7.2? We were getting ready for Antorus. We were getting ready for Argus. I remember being sat here when Argus was unveiled on the PTR. It was about 1 AM. I jumped on the stream, fired it up, and had the WoW devs in my stream watching us check it out for the very first time. We were traveling to a brand new planet. Comparatively, we're going to Uldum and Pandaria, right? So this is where things take a big diversion. I can easily put these two side by side, these patches, 7.2 and 8.2, and they seem relatively similar. On paper, they seem relatively similar. They're the Pathfinder patches. This is the patches where you get to fly. They're coming with a brand new zone, and in fact, on paper, it kind of looks like 8.2 would have the advantage. Of course, we got the Broken Isles when 7.2 launched. We got the Broken Shore. And in 8.2, we actually got Najatar and Mechagon, 2 massive zones. We got a new dungeon, the Cathedral of the Eternal Night in 7.2, whereas this time we got a new mega dungeon, which is essentially 2 dungeons, which we will have in Mythic mode in 8.3. So you look at it side by side and you kind of say, God, it looks like this 8.3 has the 8.2 has the advantage. Everything seems bigger, grander. Everything looks better. However, and this is where I got sad, is when I went back, and fortunately enough, I have recorded footage of my time during those periods. And I saw that the Broker Show brought with it so much more. It did bring with it the Mage Tower, and I could make a whole video about how awesome the Mage Tower is, but I don't think it's worth my time or yours to relive those memories right now. Needless to say that for me, who had capped characters, the Mage Tower was one of the best features ever to come into the game, and that was for me during 7.2, not 7.3. And that's because I set myself the goal, the personal challenge of completing them all before Antorus released and that catch-up gear came out, because I loved the personal challenge of doing those things on alts. And I just said alts. What a difference an expansion makes. Not only did the Mage Tower come in, and sure, for many people it was too hard, they needed more gear, etc., etc. But it also brought with it the massive class campaigns, the brand new mounts that came with finishing those class campaigns. I was playing every single class and spec in this game at 7.2. Much of it off stream, not recorded, which is a very big deal for me. A very, very big deal. If I'm going to record, say, a Mage Tower, or play a Mage Tower, I should be recording that to release to my viewers because they want to see it. But honestly, I was having so much fun that I just buried myself in it. I was fully immersed in it. I just left myself to it, and a lot of them I didn't record. And people got pissed at me for it, and understandably so. Like, they're expecting to see that stuff. But for me, I was just having so much fun that I didn't want to be the content creator. I wanted to be a player. And that's what I was doing during that time. I can't show you much footage of what I'm doing in 8.2, because what am I going to show you? Well, one of the things I've been working on outside of the raids, which is, yes, in 8.2 I didn't get that sweet first kill with my guild of the brand new raid. I didn't get that. I wasn't there for my guild's first Queen Ashara kill. Vice versa, though, I was there for the world first kill, and I got to cast it. So that's why I included that clip. I was, of course, a part of the Kill Jaden kill, which I showed at the beginning. Those were wonderful moments, and rivaled, honestly. Rivaled side by side with how wonderful those moments were. But what about after that? As I said, I was doing the Mage Tower. I was also doing every single class campaign, all the stuff to get all the unique mounts of which I got. And I wasn't doing it for the Mogs either. In fact, notoriously, many of the Mage Towers I completed, I did not know what the skin looked like. I knew about things like Werebear, of course. But for other things, I would be waiting until the quest completed, and people in the comments would be like, how do you not know? I was like, because I'm not doing it for the skin. I'm doing it for the fun of it. I'm doing it because I want to do it. It's as simple as that. That's why I did all the class campaigns. I was kind of interested in the story. I wanted all these individual mounts. That was tremendous. We also had disasters in 7.2, and we can't all look at it with rose-tinted goggles. Cathedral of the Eternal Night was one of the worst dungeons in terms of tuning Blizzard ever released. It was a dead key for months. They even had to nerf a lot of the damage by 50% in order to get people to try and do that dungeon, and even then, many considered it nowhere near enough, certainly with Mythic Plus being a factor. But side by side, I can show you that in 8.2, one of the big things I've been working on outside of raiding is farming my reputations to double Paragon. And there it is. I did it, guys. In order to get a head start on not having to bother with AP in 8.3. When I compare it to the cheers and the smiles on my face during the Mage Tower videos that I have on YouTube, it made me eternally sad that, and again we come back to alts, is in just one expansion, I've gone from a situation where I was playing every single class and spec to an expansion where I find it really hard to play at least one alt. Really hard. I had to push very hard to get my Shadow Priest in the position that he is now, and I had to force myself through that in order for the good of my guild. And side by side, that's pretty goddamn bad. Now, having said that, We need to remember that Legion wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, as many people like to remember. It had its teething problems. The launch wasn't the best. Legendary acquisition was a really big problem. However, the difference is that by point 2, it kind of worked itself out. And one of the things that Blizzard did, and we're going to see evidence that when they do this, it kind of works, is they stuck to their guns on it. They didn't mess around with it too much. Sure, they lied to us, which was a big downer for a lot of people in terms of having the secret for Legendary Cat for people who were farming. However, what they did was just kind of keep things going. They rebalanced some of the legendaries, they shifted them around, and of course the point 2 patch is where they brought in craftable legendaries, so you could start outfitting your alts, which were becoming increasingly popular with their content. Now, why is this important? BFA just couldn't do that. That point is really important, especially by me who was enjoying 7.2 so much. BFA's problems were unsalvageable. Azerite armor was unsalvageable. There was nothing they could do. So what did they have to do with all the development time that would usually go into different stuff? They had to start redoing the entire expansion. They had to rebuild the expansion while the expansion was going on. It's a common sense problem. We have to throw time and resources at stuff that should have been done before the game came out, which means that time and resources has to be pulled away from expanding and growing on the foundation we set at the beginning. New systems had to be developed. They had to put time and resources into the Essence system. Where are they going to come from? We need to build that into the game. We need to test them. We need a whole graphics team to figure out how they're going to work. Then we need to implement it into the game and balance them out. Similar to what we're seeing now with Corrupted Gear coming into the game. Time and resource has to be pulled away from, saying, making something really fun and then putting it into fixing the game and trying to make it work. The problem with that? Pretty obvious. Sacrificing what should be additional fun stuff that goes on top of the game. And this has a lot of historical precedent. I'm sure some of you are going to say, Preacher, this isn't fair. 7.2 was a particularly strong patch. You're right. 7.2 is a ridiculously strong patch. Why? For me, from what I could see, is because that's all they had to work on. That was it. That's all they had to work on. And as we're looking towards Shadowlands, this becomes increasingly important. The start of the expansion dictates how the rest of the expansion goes. Don't believe me? Let's look at the other point 2 patches then. If you go back to 6.2, Warlords of Draenor, it's the Tanaan Jungle patch. I checked into the video and couldn't believe my ears as to how I was sat there saying, what is this? This is terrible. We got the Garrison Shipyard during 6.2. That's what was going on during Warlords of Draenor. Why? WoD had an ungodly bad start. It ended up in a situation where people were trapped increasingly just in their garrison. I wonder what their reports look like internally. People with huge amounts of alts, not doing anything, just in their garrison, making huge amounts of gold. 6.2 was where they nerfed the gold, because people were just raking in millions of gold, not doing anything. No content, and endless complaining from the start of Warlords of Draenor all the way through to the end that there was just nothing to do, and resources had to be poured in trying to get them to have something to do. 6.2 brought with it Mythic Dungeons. That's when they first came into the game, to try and get people to go and get gear from there, because they were just chilling in their garrisons, running weekly missions on their follower table, and getting stuff in. Nothing was worth getting in the outside world. Just stay in your garrison. Free gear. Easy as that. It also came with time walking. Again, trying to get people to play the game. Trying to get them to go and do something. It also came with bonus events. Things to get you out in the world. You get bonus Apexes crystals, right? This was the stuff that came with 6.2 for an expansion that had an unearthly bad start. Remember, Warlords of Draenor was the worst launch in ever. I was there from every single expansion launch. WoD was the worst. Many people couldn't even access their garrison for the first 7 days because it simply would not load. It was a pain in the ass. Vice versa, 5.2. What was 5.2, you might ask?
A major patch is released. I like to go through and list off all of the important changes just to make sure that you are 100% up to speed on everything that's happening in the new patch. And holy crap, there is a lot happening in the new patch, so let's get right into it. So obviously the big billing feature in this new patch is going to be the Isle of Thunder and the Throne of Thunder raid. Let's talk.
Do you remember the Isle of Thunder? It's pretty fucking awesome. Why? Mop had a rough start too. It had a rough start with how many dailies were needed to do the legendary stuff, but by point 2, it worked itself out. And it wasn't that bad as time went on. They didn't have to readjust or reevaluate the whole game in order to try and make it work. What happens? All the resources pour into just developing more content. And that's why this is so important. What I want people to take away from this video is Shadowlands approaches. A good start to Shadowlands dictates what's going to happen for the rest of the expansion. Pretty much, that is what I'm seeing while looking back at this, and that's my story. 7.2 was the best time I ever had in World of Warcraft since probably Wrath of the Lich King. Maybe the Burning Crusade. I was completely invested into the game and having fun with it. Vice versa, 8.2, it's a struggle to log in. It's a struggle to log in. I'm looking forward to 8.3 where things are definitely much better. If you're in a position to just enjoy the new content, essences are still a problem. But looking back historically, as to the course of all these patches, it becomes abundantly clear that if we get a good start, then things look good for us. But ultimately, what's your story? Is my story garbage? Was 7.2 a shitty time for you? Were you trying to do mage towers but were woefully undergeared, couldn't get anything done, and ended up farming fucking Khadgar's mission to turn in crystals and get them all back and all that kind of bullshit and leveling alts to try and do class campaigns, or maybe upset about it? That's the point. I don't know what your story is, but it'd be lovely to hear it. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.